Private clouds have benefits and they have risks. Let's look at each. Among the benefits of private clouds are the one I just mentioned: faster deployment of VMs and applications because the process is now automated. There need not be people in the loop to slow things down. It can also be cheaper because without people, we have reduced administrative costs. People also tend to make more mistakes than software. So private clouds can lead to fewer deployment errors because these common services can now be deployed in a standardized, automated way. And finally, private clouds can offer per VM chargeback or what's called showback. In either case, organizations can learn exactly who is using how many resources and for how long. It is possible to put in place very fine-grained charging even inside organizations' data centers. Not many folks do this today with private clouds, but it's possible, and probably it's a direction for the future. The risks of private clouds really aren't very substantial. Here's what they include. Sometimes VM admins find it hard to trust their users. The notion that they're not involved personally in every VM deployment, every app deployment in VMs, can upset them. But in my experience, they get used to this. VM admins also sometimes resist having part of their job automated, as everyone else does. But in general, that kind of resistance winds up being futile. A truly hard problem with private clouds is defining standard services. Private clouds only really have value if users want the same kinds of things over and over. If lots of people, for example, frequently want a VM with Windows Server, SQL Server, and so on configured in certain ways, that's a good choice for a service in a private cloud. If each request, however, is different, customized, unique, well, that's not a good fit for private clouds. An implication here is that private clouds will probably have more value, at least initially, for larger organizations, which are more likely to have these kinds of repetitive service requests. And finally, private clouds are not just about technology. They require changing operational processes, how people behave in IT. This is very hard in most organizations. IT departments are very risk averse for good reason. And so private clouds can bring cultural change that is challenging to deal with. Nonetheless, in my opinion, private clouds will be adopted in the next few years by the great majority of large organizations and by a large number of mid-sized and smaller firms as well. They just make too much sense.